because he's such like a scrawny dude, but then he has that ass. So
right. Well, dear listeners, if you have a theory on Buttgate and if you have an idea who's double cheeked up in this Spider-Man, please send us a message and we'd love to hear it.
Or you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. Hello and welcome to the Art of Costume Blogcast. I'm Elizabeth Joy Glass.
And I'm Spencer Williams. Hey, Elizabeth.
Hey, Spencer.
Happy Spider-Man Day.
Happy Spider-Man Day. It's the new one. It's the most perfect one. Everybody, we watched Spider-Man No Way Home. There's no point in saving that for later.
But before we get into all the spider goodness, the Oscars, that was of all the Oscars I've seen, that was definitely one of them.
That was one of them. I've never thought about it for so long. That's for sure.
Right. So yeah, some stuff happened, which I don't even care to talk about because it really took away from all the good stuff that we were preparing for like a year for. However, Jenny Bevan won Best Costume Design for Cruella, as we predicted.
I know. I wasn't surprised, but I was equally as excited.
No one was surprised. I would have bet all my money on it. And she deserved it. It was awesome.
She did. That was a really incredible film. And I'm just so happy for her.
Yeah, I'm ready for the next Oscars already.
I can wait. I can wait a little bit.
Well, Elizabeth, before we get into Spider-Man, we actually have a special guest with us today to help us break down this groundbreaking film that has won like all the awards, all the money. Well, not an Oscar, but all the other awards and all the money.
Yes.
I wrote this introduction just for her because I know she'll love it. So let me get into it.
Okay.
You'll never believe who we have on this week's episode of the Art of Costume Blogcast. She is the host of eLEXYfy, the Place for Fashion podcast, a blogger, a sustainability and thrifted fashion expert, social media executive, and above all, she has her master's in Andrew Garfieldology. Lexy Silverstein, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Oh my god, that was so great. You killed it. Amazing. I knew you were gonna do that. But hi everyone,
Hello.
I'm Lexy Silverstein. I knew you were gonna do that. My podcast, if you ever listen to it, I always start with, "You'll never believe who I have." So Spencer and our friend, my boss, Fanny, always make fun of me for it. So I knew that was coming. But yes, I do know everything about Andrew Garfield, and I'm excited to get into it.
I just had to.
Yeah, I can't wait for your expertise on that point. I'm very excited for that.
Oh, just you wait.
Andrew Garfieldology is like a really intense field. So Lexi's done all the research, all the papers. So we really welcome your expertise.
Yeah, we actually have a major for it at FITM, and I'm the only one in the class.
Yeah. You're also the professor.
Yeah,
So
I am.
It's just an independent research program.
Lexy, you had quite a fun time at the Oscars. What were you up to? I believe you spoke to quite the Marvel legend the other day, which made me really jealous.
I had a really busy past weekend. So I went to a pre-Oscars event with Red Carpet Green Dress, who I work for. They are a sustainable red carpet, woman-led little organization, and they design dresses for people who go to the Oscars, and it's all sustainable and amazing. But they had a pre-Oscars event, and my boss, who is Susie Amos Cameron, who is amazing, is married to James Cameron, who is also my boss. So he
just a little bit of a flex, right?
Just a flex. He, the movie Avatar? Yeah, that's him. So Zoe Saldana, they're really close, and she just happened to be at this pre-Oscars event. And when I tell you, she showed up and she walked in, beautiful, amazing, impeccable. I was like, no way, that's Gamora, no way. And I literally, it was the most embarrassing thing ever. We were making eye contact and she was like walking, and I was just like, And she waved at me and I was like, hi, oh my God, hi. And then she was like, oh, so is it my turn? And I was like, oh, to interview. Yeah. Let's do this. And I had no idea what to do. My hands were shaking. I was so nervous. But it was so great to meet her. She was the sweetest human being ever. She was wearing a fully sustainable outfit by Stella McCartney. And then on Sunday, I actually helped two amazing talents get ready for the Oscars. Tati Gabrielle, who's in You, she's in. She was just in Uncharted, actually, with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And then Paloma Garcia Lee, who was in West Side Story, and her friend actually won the Best Supporting Actress, I think.
Yeah, Ariana DeBose.
Yep, they're best friends. Yeah. And so that was really exciting for all of them. And they were both wearing sustainable dresses by Tencel. And then also Billie Eilish and her mom. So Billie Eilish's mom was wearing a fully sustainable dress, and then Billie Eilish was wearing sustainable vintage jewelry. So
love that.
Love it.
Oh, quite the Oscars expert too. We're just getting all the expertise today.
Yes, yes. Well, that's what I'm here for.
Well, considering Lexy has some Andrew Garfield facts, we should probably jump into it. Make sure we have time for all of it.
Yes, Spencer, do that summary.
I'll do the summary. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, our friendly neighborhood web-slinger is unmasked and no longer able to separate his normal life as Peter Parker from the high stakes of being a superhero. When Peter asks for help from Doctor Strange, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man.
Excellent. If you didn't see Spider-Man No Way Home, I don't know what you're doing here.
Yeah, honestly. One of those people would actually be our editor, Daniel, who is hopefully watching it as we record this, because I told him he has about 24 hours left.
I was going to say, if he hasn't watched it yet, he's got to get all the spoilers.
Yeah. He never watches the movies we do.
So you better watch this one, Daniel, if you're listening. So let's get it, Elizabeth.
Let's get into it and go behind the wardrobe that was brought to us by director John Watts and our incredible costume veteran, Sanja Hays,
yes.
Who notable work, far too much to be listed here, but some of them are Blade from 1998, the Fast and the Furious movies 1 through 7, yes. And then also 9, Cheaper by the Dozen in 2003, The Mummy, Damn. Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Your favorite movie.
It's better than the Tom Cruise one. Star Trek Beyond in 2016, Maze Runner, The Death Cure, Captain Marvel 2019, and she's currently in pre-production for Fast 10. And then also, Spencer added, she was the assistant costume designer on 2 of our favorites, Independence Day and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
I love the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. It's so good.
It's been forever since I've seen it, so I don't really remember it, but Power Rangers were a part of my childhood, and I know I've probably seen it 10 times, and just images are all that are left.
I'll send you my VHS tape. I got it somewhere. So.
Of course you do.
Oh, God.
Lexy, a VHS tape is one of those black rectangles that you put in the little box and it plays the movie.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know what it was. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I got you. Carry on, Elizabeth.
Oh, well, this was quite the movie, and she did an interview with Discussing Film all about it. So all of our quotes today are going to be from this Discussing Film article, which I highly encourage everybody to read. But she said about adapting Spider-Man from comics to the screen, the thing is, movies are just as visual as comic books. Audiences immediately judge a character the moment they first see them. So their look has to be up to expectation, and that is such a big responsibility. It does also have to be slightly different than the comic book, as those were made a couple of decades ago. These outfits go through filters of translation over years to adapt the comics from what people have been seeing and what they expect. to do this, to make this translation of the comics, she spent about 7 months in pre-production to get these costumes done.
Damn, that's a long time.
A very long time, but I think we can all agree it was very worth it.
Hell yes, it paid off.
Yeah.
It definitely paid off, especially with all of our lovely Spider-Men coming back. She said that it also felt like such a big responsibility because it's such a huge fandom and so many people expect so much. She said that she always tells young actors that we have to get the costume right. Otherwise, the audience doesn't feel connected to your character the very first moment you show up. And it's like, ooh, that is so true for a costume hero movie.
Especially for this particular film, the two certain actors who surprise us. Can you imagine if they showed up looking busted? It would have ruined the fantasy.
Everyone would have been outraged.
There would have been outrage. She also said to discussing film, it's a strange combination because on one level, the costume needs to be perfect, but on another, the less the audience thinks about the costume, the better. If they start thinking about the costume during the movie, then it usually means something is wrong and they are not able to sit back and watch. And it's like, true, but also you did such a good job. Like, of course we noticed the costumes.
Right. She's just a pro, and, you know, everyone talks so highly about Sanja, so I'm just really excited to dive into all these costumes. She really is a master of her craft. She
is. And I don't know about you, Spencer and Lexy, but I cannot wait to jump in after our break.
I'm so excited. I'm going to go sling some webs around the house while we wait.
Oh my god, me too. I was just about to do that. It's crazy.
Lexy, Spencer, are you ready to dive into this?
Yes! Let's do it!
I'm so ready.
Well, it basically picks up right after Far From Home. Everybody knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and he has to escape with MJ.
I love this part. I just love seeing Zendaya's outfit, how it just like travels through the wind as Peter Parker's just, you know, slinging her all over the city. It's kind of rude, but also I just love it.
I love it too. I love her. I think it's like her Joan of Arc t-shirt. I was like, that's so MJ. It's perfect.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like this is a very MJ outfit. I was just going to say too, with the acting, Zendaya said that when she's scared, she's usually not very like expressive of a person. Like she doesn't make these like facial expressions. Mm-hmm. So she thought that shooting the scene was very funny because she had to like actually make these like facial expressions that she would literally never make. So she was like, I don't feel like I'm MJ in any way, because I was like having to do things that I don't usually do. But I do feel like this is just a very MJ outfit to a T. All the black.
I love that.
Yeah, it was perfect. She was perfect per usual.
She's my MJ. Well, we should just get out of the way. My favorite Spider-Man movies are the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. But I respect the Tobey Maguire movies.
Yes. My favorite are Andrew Garfield's, and everyone knows why.
Yeah. Anyways,
we have him back in his I survived my trip to NYC shirt, which I was like, I forgot this was in here, and I thought you made a mistake because I saw the slides before I rewatched it, and I was like, oh, they did bring that back.
I love it. I actually didn't realize till I was putting the notes together. I was like, oh, wait, he's worn this shirt before. He wore this in Homecoming, right? When he, I don't remember what he did. Lexy, you probably remember.
Iron Man, because that whole one was about how like he needs to learn how to be like Spider-Man without like the suit and the technology. So I think I'm not 100% positive, but that was after maybe Iron Man took away his suit and then just like put him in random stuff, but that could be wrong.
Sounds right. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
I want that shirt. It's so good.
I have that shirt. I have it. It's a great shirt.
Elizabeth, you and I have to get one. I know Elizabeth and I don't have one.
We do.
You can get it on Etsy.
I'm a little too pasty for a shirt of that kind of white.
You should still get one, and then we can go to New York together and take really cheesy pictures.
Oh, that'd be so cute. I love that.
That would be cute. You guys should totally do that.
Yes.
And then you can Photoshop me in with my shirt.
Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly what we'll do. But I also loved Aunt May in this scene because I realized she's wearing like blue and red. And I was like, she's such a Spider-Man supporter.
Yeah, she's a Spider-Man fangirl for sure.
She is. I'm like, oh, no wonder they're threatening to call child services.
I love seeing Aunt May and Happy together. It makes me very happy.
Yes.
They're just so cute. And yeah, I mean, even talking about Aunt May, I feel emotional.
I'm
wiping away tears.
I know. I skipped over that part because I was like, I don't want to be sad.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, this movie depressed me a lot. Like, I was not okay for a solid week or two after I saw this film the first time.
Yeah, okay. So I was just on vacation with my cousin and his daughters. His oldest daughter's 9. She watched this like 3 times while we were on vacation on her iPad, and she was like, it's just so sad.
It's true. I'm with her.
I was like, yeah, Abby, it's very sad.
I was rewatching it last night, and I literally said, I was like, I will never forget the first time I saw this movie, because I went in the first day it was released. It was released on like the 14th of something, and I actually went on the 13th, I think it was.
The midnight premiere?
Yeah, so I like went immediately as it was in theaters, and I just remember I would go from like sobbing to like, because they hit you with like the May scene, and then right after they hit you with the Spider-Mans. And so I was like going from sobbing, crying to being like, oh my God, like this is so great. And then back to crying. And so it's like, it's such a roller coaster of emotions. But I was I remember I walked into the theater and I was talking to my friends and I was like, I'm just excited to see more of Aunt May and Happy. And then they immediately hit you with we broke up.
Yeah.
Damn this movie. It's so sad. How dare they? Whoever wrote this script was really like going through their emo Batman phase.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
They were.
And I think Spider-Man is also going through his emo Batman phase with all the bad press surrounding him and the dailybugle.net. I love how it's .net. That just makes it seem so sketchy.
Yeah. I love the return of J. Jonah Jameson. He's such like a staple Spider-Man character. It was like so fun to see him come back. And I realized watching it the second time, he's like a direct mirroring of like the real life InfoWars Alex Jones, that literal psychopath.
Yeah.
He was like all about conspiracy theories. Like I was actually getting anxiety watching Jonah. I'm
right?
like, I know this guy now in the post like Trump 2016 world. Like this is real.
Oh God.
Yes. No, that's what like down to like the suit jacket and like the buttoned up shirt with just one button undone. I was like, oh, this is stressful.
It's literally the same. They are identical.
That's crazy.
I love how they brought the same actor back too, because it's been so long that you're like, wait, hold on a second, is that the same person? But it's like he's so perfect at the part that like it doesn't matter.
Well, that's the funny part, is that like there's all these different like multiverses or whatever, but for some reason J. Jonah Jameson is the same in every universe, and it just makes no sense, but it's so funny. But I remember at the at the end of the last movie, Far From Home, like the end clip was this, like the beginning of No Way Home, where J. Jonah Jameson like shows up, and I remember I was sitting in theaters and I was like, in the next movie they're gonna connect all 3 Spider-Mans, and I know it because they brought him back, and I was so excited.
Yeah. I didn't even realize that until this moment, but maybe it's kind of like a Loki variant thing where like some of them look the same, you know? So maybe there's just this multiverse of J. Jonah Jamesons who all look the same, and then occasionally there's like an alligator Jonah and like you know,
like the alligator,
but they're all out to get Spider-Man.
Yeah. They all hate Spidey.
I could not believe they brought Daredevil in. I was so excited for when I saw him the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, they did not just connect the Netflix shows to the MCU.
Yeah. Our boy Charlie Cox from Stardust, right?
Yes.
He's so good. He's so good.
I'll admit, when I saw it, I was a little confused because I never saw the Daredevil show. I know who Daredevil is, but it was one of those moments, you know, like when you go to like the midnight premiere and everyone's like applause like for every other scene and standing up and screaming. This was one of those moments where everyone was standing up screaming, and I was sitting down and I was looking around like, wait, what? What happened?
Wait,
I was like, oh. When I saw the red glasses, I understood what was happening. I was like, oh, okay, that's Daredevil. Yeah. I've only seen that one Daredevil movie from like way back in the day that we don't talk about.
I've never even seen that.
Don't.
Yeah, no.
But he looked good.
Yeah, oh my God, he looks fine.
He does. I love when he catches the brick or whatever, and he's like, I'm a very good lawyer. I'm like, yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are.
Yeah, such an iconic scene. There's this guy on TikTok that he like knows everything about Marvel. And there's this one really dumb video. He makes really great videos, but this one was a little dumb because he was like, oh, like he caught the brick before Spider-Man did. And they were like, he was saying that basically means that like Daredevil's like quote unquote Spidey sense is better than Spider-Man's. And then all the comments were like, or he's just closer to the window.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I think we read a little too much into that one.
Yeah. I'm like, and maybe Spider-Man's a little overwhelmed in this moment, trying to figure out whether or not he's going to go to jail.
Yeah. Spider-Man's had a long week.
He did have a long week. But it's really interesting because this whole movie like shows more in depth about like his spider sense, the Peter-Tingle, as they say in this one. And because in the last movie, it wasn't working. So in this one, it goes like so far in depth about how good how insane it works. And so it was just funny that they were like criticizing that. And I was like, I think he's just closer to the window, dude.
Yeah.
But that suit, it looks great on him.
It does. I love how he's like, he always plays like the poor lawyer. I'm like,
yeah,
perfect with like the kind of woolly suit.
He looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy.
Oh, Flash Thompson.
That
guy sucks.
He does. I forgot how much I disliked him.
Yeah, he's something. And his costume is like so obnoxious too, which like credit to Sanja Milkovic, who is like, this is a character that I want to like come across as like trying really hard and kind of annoying. So like, and you know, credit to the actor too who plays Flash, because obviously he does a great job at playing this character that I cringe every time I see him on screen.
All of his clothes, I feel like it's almost like knockoff like Gucci and like knockoff Lacoste. Like I feel like it's all of that.
Yeah.
You can see like the Gucci backpack strap, and I'm just like, that's fake. That's not real.
Yeah. His bleach blonde hair. I'm like, come on, dude.
I don't think in the very, very beginning of the movie, you see him for a second when he's finding out that like Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
And he's wearing like the tennis clothes.
Yeah. And I think he has like brown hair, and then he comes back, and I guess he was getting all ready for his I'm Spider-Man's best friend, photo op. So he was like, let me fix my hair and look absolutely like I'm trying way too hard.
I agree. Oh my gosh. Who I also thought was funny was the newscaster covering Peter Parker's most stressful year of high school. And I was like, oh my gosh, leave the kid alone.
Are they coming back from like summer break, or they were just like on like, I don't know, spring break? I don't remember.
I don't know. I think it's summer because they go through like Halloween.
I don't know if it was a summer school trip or like a quick spring break kind of trip with the school. I don't know.
I guess it's not relevant, but Peter Parker's just had a tough month. He was just outed by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Fucking Mysterio.
Yeah.
Everyone hates him now. People are throwing bricks through his windows, and his aunt's about to die, and then everyone forgets who he is, and he doesn't exist. So I just really feel for Peter Parker.
I feel like he's had the summer to cope, because otherwise I don't know how Flash got that book out so quickly.
He has a tough first day at school. It's pretty rough. But his costume looks good, though.
I know, it does. His flannel, his kind of graphic tee. I was like, yes, you are just a high schooler.
Yeah, his hair is right. It was funny watching this scene because, having just binged Euphoria season 2, how different these like high school universes are. Like the Spider-Man high school universe is normal. It's just it's interesting.
You mean from realistic to unrealistic?
Yeah.
Everyone always jokes on TikTok. They're like, what if we brought the Euphoria high schoolers, the like High School Musical, the series high schoolers, and then Riverdale high schoolers all together in one room? Like, what would happen? Because they're all so different. But this outfit, I feel like, is very Peter Parker. He always has those like nerdy graphic tees. Like he has that math one. I forget what equations on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that iconic one that is like, I went thrifting the other day and we found one that had some sort of equation on it. And my friend was like, this is giving very Peter Parker vibes. And I was like, it is.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, I love him. But he does not get any peace except on the roof.
Kind of, until Ned bothers him and MJ between one of the only kisses we're going to see like an entire trilogy.
I know.
I also love how they're such a couple looking very similar. I'm like, yes, you went shopping with MJ. That is clear.
Well, we all know Zendaya is choosing Tom Holland's wardrobes at this point, and it kind of translates into the film.
I was just going to say, in real life, I'm like, you can see Zendaya's influence on Tom, so it's great that you can also see it in the movie.
I love MJ's like jacket, though, with the black and white stripes. I was like, this is a real Spencer Hamburglar moment, and I love this outfit.
Yes, I kind of want all her outfits.
I love it. I love that the one sleeve is like chunkier stripes, and then the other one is like not as chunky, or it's like kind of opposite, like the thin stripes.
Yeah.
The thin stripes are white on the other side and then black on the other side. So
that's cool. I didn't even notice that.
Thank you.
So perfect. Also perfect. We have Benedict Cumberbatch's back. My man, looking good.
Lexy,
being not the Sorcerer Supreme, but oh well.
Elizabeth has a master's in Benedict Cumberbatchology.
As you should. I love him. He's a great man.
He's fantastic.
And I think you both went to the School of Sebastian Stanology too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, I loved seeing Doctor Strange in his like winter comfy clothes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I love how he's so dressed down, but still has the cape on. Because at first, he looks like you see the cape, he looks very dressed up. Then you're like, wait, is he wearing a hoodie and a winter jacket?
And sweatpants.
I
feel like it's like the perfect, like, Doctor Strange. I feel like he's such like a high ego that he's like, I can't just wear sweats. I have to wear the cape too.
Yes.
I remember, oh my God, I remember when the trailer came out for No Way Home and everyone was interpreting like this costume to mean something completely different. Like everyone was like, oh my God, we think Doctor Strange is Loki. I don't know why they thought that.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But they were like, he would never wear sweats. And I remember literally just like him wearing sweats started like so many different conspiracies about what was going to happen just because he wore sweats. So silly. And then it ended up literally just being like the stupidest reason ever.
Yeah, it's like he's cold. Like we all get cold.
Like let him wear sweats in peace.
I would say don't get your theories from TikTok and YouTube, but also the same people predicted that Spider-Man moment at the end with them charging. The one Spider-Man charging at all the villains, and they actually were like,
that TikTok ate that up.
Yeah. So, anyways.
But the FIDM had an open house the other day, and one of the alumni, actually, I was talking to her, and she was like, oh, I worked on this small movie called Spider-Man, No Way Home, and I started freaking out. yeah, I started freaking out. And then I remember I ran over to Spencer and I was like, why does her sign not say Spider-Man No Way Home? That's such a bigger deal than like what it was. But she was talking about it and she said that basically, like, I guess like the assistant designer or someone couldn't like make it. So she got upgraded to the assistant, whatever. And then she had to help because of all the different rights. Like Spider-Man is owned by Sony, not by Marvel. So they couldn't use the exact same Doctor Strange costume that they use in all the other movies. So they had to completely recreate it rather than just using the costume that's already made. And she was saying that it's so much stress because like people notice, like if like the slightest bit is like different or like the embroidery's off or the coloring's off, like everyone will notice because the fandom's so crazy. And so I think she did a really great job, but she was talking specifically about the cape. And I was like, yeah, well, like the cape is a big deal because not only is it like a huge part to his costume, but it's also kind of like its own character. Like it's able to like go on its own. So it was really interesting talking to her about how like how all these details like came together. And then she said when she saw him come on screen for the first time watching No Way Home, she just like cried because she was like, it worked out so perfectly. Like it looks great. So,
what was her name?
I like cannot. It's blank. I think I have it in my notes, but
I'll try to look it up and add it in post.
Yeah, because good on her. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We also got to see Wong for a little bit too, and he clearly is over the whole situation.
Yeah.
He became Sorcerer Supreme by a technicality.
He clearly is not enjoying it.
But he's also like taking it seriously though. Like he just sees this freaking, wizard behind him wearing sweatpants, and he's like, I have stuff to do. I'm in charge now. So like
he's basically just like, don't fuck it up. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
He's like, let's keep the malarkey to a minimum this movie, and clearly that doesn't work out well.
That did not happen.
And it's not gonna happen in the next movie. It goes crazy in the next movie.
No. But what I did love about the craziness was the new Spider-Man suits we got to see. This was beautiful with the gold. I guess it's not like new, but it's a little bit upgraded. The gold little spider legs.
Yeah, it's definitely been
loved it.
Polished a little bit, like he's been keeping his spider suit in storage, taking care of it. It looks good. I love seeing the gold in it. It's one of my all-time favorite spider suits as he rushes over to go speak to the MIT person.
That was such a crazy moment. I'm like, Doctor Strange, did you not think like, maybe I should ask some more questions about this situation before like I perform a whole like reality altering spell? Like maybe try and fix this in like some other ways than just like changing the world in a couple of seconds. Like maybe you should have tried that first.
There are so many things though that like there were so many easier solutions that could have happened, but that Marvel had just had to like do it on purpose to make the movie great. But there's so many like when I was watching it yesterday, my boyfriend was like, "Why didn't they just do this?" And I was like, "Because it doesn't the plot, okay? Don't ask questions."
It doesn't matter.
It makes me absolutely insane, this like little 20 minutes, but also I relate so hard when Doctor Strange is like, wait, you didn't call them first? I'm like, no, I didn't call them because I hate talking on the phone. I just went straight to the wizard to alter time and space.
Like, how did you forget he's still like a teenager when he's like, oh, my friends didn't get into college. I need your help with a spell. It's like that was the first, like, maybe you should have talked this out a little bit.
First red flag there, buddy. But I love this scene. I love this costume. And then I love the, like, kind of parallel with Doc Ock's. Because then Doc Ock has that iconic line where he's like, oh, we have some competition here.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Speaking of... we finally got to see Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. It was just like such a blast from the past, especially for Elizabeth and I, since one of our guests today wasn't even born yet. But like, I don't know, like Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, that's like such a big part of like my growing up, and seeing him when he said, "Hello, Peter," I literally almost fainted.
Yeah. So good.
I know. And I love it because I'm like, I remember he's one of the first like super villains where you're like, he's not really a villain, but he is like that kind of like, oh, wait, there's two sides to a villain, maybe.
He just wanted to destroy New York City with like the sun, but like.
I always questioned because in the back of his outfit, you can see like the tears where, like the octopus legs.
Yeah, the tentacles.
The tentacles where they come out. And so I just wonder, like, did he tear that himself? Was it a DIY moment? Did the like tentacles be like, nah, like we need space? Like, are all of his clothes just ripped a little bit? And I know we only see him in this one outfit, but I'm just like, I have so many questions about the rest of your wardrobe.
I know. I would love to talk to her about it, but one thing with Dr. Oct is he has like a lot of stunts because his costume is basically a whole stunt with the tentacles coming out. And when she was discussing film, she talked a lot about how she's worked on films with stunts and it's kind of become like her specialty, especially with all the Fast and Furious movies. And it's something she's really proud of. And she said that making sure actors were happy with the suits was a big thing because these movies are so complicated for performers. They have so much to do. And the goal was for us to make their costumes in such a way that they don't have to think about it or work around difficulties. Alfred Molina, for example, his original suit, he had to physically wear the tentacles and the belt, which was all made out of pure metal for certain shots. Of course, nowadays, there's been a huge change in technology, and he just couldn't believe how much easier it was. And I was like, because he was in the first one, right? He was the villain for the first or the second?
Second one.
The second one.
Yeah.
So I just assumed like it was 2003, 4. I assumed they were like
3.
Yeah, something like that. I assumed they were CG in the original. I didn't think that like they were metal, and I was like, wow, he must have been so happy this time.
Yeah.
There's this great video I have to share with you, Elizabeth, recorded, back when he was doing his second film. And he's like hooked up to the tentacles and they're just like kind of moving back and forth. And he just like walked away, I guess. And Willem Dafoe walked on set like as a surprise guest, and he read Doc Ock's lines. And it's like one of the best moments. But like in that moment, you could see that like they're just literally these giant robot arms are just like moving back and forth, like, and it's like he's like literally like almost seat belted in, almost like it's a lot. So
that's hilarious.
I imagine when he walked on set and he was like, no arms, and like, yeah, what do you mean metal arms? That's crazy. We
have CGI now. It's great.
That's crazy. But such an iconic like costume. My friend has a jacket very similar to the one that he wears, and I feel like every time she wears it, we bring up that she looks like Doc Ock, and we're like, yes, Doc Ock.
Yes, the leather trench coat, such a 2000 staple.
Yeah, but I love the color on it though, because it almost has like a green hue to it. Like the textile's very interesting.
For the updated one, yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Goblin.
Oh my gosh, the way that laugh made me feel cannot be replicated. It was just so crazy.
I was so scared. I was like, oh no, he's back.
The childhood trauma's back.
Willem Dafoe, he carried this movie. He was so good. And I don't know. I know that after his movie, like the first one, people were mad because the mask, it didn't like move. So it wasn't very like, I don't know, realistic. Like when you look at Spider-Man's masks, his like eyes move. But this was literally just like a mask. So you couldn't see like expressions. You couldn't see like the crazy like Willem Dafoe facial expressions that he does. So that's actually part of the reason why he doesn't wear the mask the entire rest of the movie. I don't know if we'll get to that, but he ends up, he ends up like smashing it, and then we see his other costume.
That's so silly to me though, because to me it's like, the thing I love about these movies is that they interpret their villains in a more realistic point of view. Like the Vulture was not actually a man with bird wings and feathers, And so, like, all these different characters, Mysterio was just Jake Gyllenhaal with, like, a helmet on. So with Green Goblin, to me, it's, like, more like, it's just like a motorcycle helmet. He's just, like, a crazy scientist guy who just has, like, an interesting, like, costume. So, like, no, of course his helmet's not going to move because he's just wearing a helmet to protect his head.
Yeah. This one's also very different from the comics.
Yeah.
Which is also why they end up changing it. But yeah.
Where he's actually a goblin. Yeah.
Another one I had forgotten about, Dr. Kurt Connors. I'd forgotten about him.
I will never forget.
Honestly, I have zero memory of the Lizard in past Spider-Man films.
As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, I remember this guy, but I had forgotten about him until he popped up on screen.
He looks so like I feel like his lizard like his lizardness looks so different from like this movie and the other movie, and I feel like you can just see like the progression in the CGI. But I did not forget, because this is the Amazing Spider-Man, and I will never forget those movies.
Yeah, I've only seen the first Amazing Spider-Man, and I don't even remember it. I saw part of the Jamie Foxx one. That's the second one, right?
Yes.
And I literally don't remember any of it. I don't think I finished it.
It's one of the biggest plot points.
I got everything I needed from
No,
this
you
new
did
one.
not. No, you did not. You can never get enough Andrew Garfield.
Elizabeth's face right now says, Spencer, I'm disappointed in you. I'm embarrassed by you.
A little bit. I assumed you did your research.
I know that the Amazing Spider-Man movies, those ones, like, compared to all of them, those ones got like the worst rap about them. Like, everyone hated them, which is why I think they only ended up making 2 of them. But I like literally love them, and Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is just so good. He's like so much cooler than the other Peter Parkers, which is also why I think he's the worst Peter Parker, because he's like not realistically Peter Parker. Like, Peter Parker is this like nerdy kid, and Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is just so cool. And that's not a biased thing. That's like an actual thing. But you need to watch the second one. I'm going to force you to watch it.
So I'm guessing no Lizard fans then on this podcast.
No. No, Spencer.
Sorry, Lizard. You will not be going to Hollywood. So our crew shows back up at Doctor Strange's manor, and we got another MJ fit that I'm in love with the beanie. Okay.
I love it. I love the pattern mixing of the plaid and the stripes on her sweater and her blazer. Yes. So good. The beanie is so her. I'm also very confused by Ned, because he wears this varsity sweater or jacket the entire movie, and not the entire. I think he switches later. I don't know, but I don't know what sport he plays.
I was wondering that.
You can get them for like other like. He probably has it for like one of his science clubs or something.
Didn't they do like a decathlon or something in the second one?
Yeah, that is what
it's not just. Yeah, it's not just sports that you can get them for.
Okay.
I got a varsity letter for being vice president of my high school.
I didn't
get a jacket because I didn't feel like buying one, but I have a letter.
They did go to like in the first movie. They were like part of the math, whatever the heck.
Yeah.
Nerds.
Yeah.
Nerds. In the best way. Oh, but also Peter Parker, even in the scene on the bridge, you see that his suit and here are so wrinkled because he has costume on.
Yes.
Over top.
Oh my gosh, I love that little wardrobe track. That's a good one. He's very wrinkly.
Yes.
Very wrinkly.
I noticed that too, and I was like, excellent.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I love that stuff on this podcast.
The attention to detail. Oh, and then Zendaya's wearing her necklace.
Mm-hmm.
We have a new Spider-Man suit, and I gotta say, I was so excited when I saw this one because it makes Spider-Man look so cool. And for like a hot second, I was like, are they gonna also bring Venom in? And I was like, yes, but no. And yeah, as we found out. And Hays talked a lot about this suit. She said, the black and gold suit is a suit that is inside out. With the help of the visual effects department in Marvel, we worked on trying to figure out what a suit that enables him to have all this power would look like on the inside. If you look at all the details, which often because of speed and movement, you don't get to see, it kind of looks like a circuit board of a computer with gold wires. And I was like, yes, yes, it does. And it's brilliant.
I love that. This is one of my favorite suits. Of course, my favorite was the black suit. It's so badass. And I did notice the circuit board. I thought that was really interesting, especially with all the electricity flying around.
Well, when he stays and like cleans up the area, because he was like, I don't want anyone else blaming me for this. You can see it in daylight, and you can literally see like all the wires. Because I'm like, you can see it here when it's like a picture, but in the movie you can't see it as well. Like you just see like a black suit. And so when it becomes daylight, you can really see like all of the like wires and stuff like that, which is super cool because then it shows just how in depth all of the Stark technology is.
Oh, gone but never forgotten.
Yeah. Truly. Such an amazing moment. But in that moment, we also get Electro. Jamie Foxx is back.
I was so happy with what they did with this character. I think one of the reasons why I never got behind a second Amazing Spider-Man was just how crazy Electro looked. I was not into it. So I loved what they did with Electro in this film.
Yeah.
Well, there's that like quote from not Jamie Foxx, but Electro, where he's like, I like who I am in this universe, because you can literally see like he's a cooler dude in this one. Like his hair is better. Like he just overall looks cooler, when Electro in the other universe was just like this nerdy, insecure dude. So I think that
they really did him dirty in that other film.
Yeah, they did.
So I think that's why he liked this universe so much, because he was like a cooler dude, and they purposely made him cooler.
I would have gave him an exception, but like you could actually stay if it's up to me.
Yeah.
Another supervillain that came back was the Sandman.
Kind of came back. I believe I
kept forgetting he was in the movie.
I believe I saw that he had like scheduling conflicts or whatever, so he wasn't actually able to be there as much as he would have liked.
What else is he in?
Yeah. Something else. I don't Maybe he has a family. I don't know. But
what was more important than Spider-Man?
I don't know. But it was so awesome to see at least his voice. Like I knew it was still him. So like it still was giving me everything I need to see. He was from the third Spider-Man, I believe, with Venom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was always a great character.
He didn't look like himself. He like, when they finally show him, like that it's him, he looked like CGI'd or like not real.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
So like different. But then he also has that iconic like green striped shirt that he literally wears, like it's like his iconic, we know Sandman by that shirt.
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid to say that was actually him, because he did look really CGI, and I'm wondering if he never actually made it, and maybe they just like did like a Luke Skywalker moment, you know, just kind of like
CGI.
Like took some PA that day and was like, you're gonna be Sandman at 1:30 today. So, like,
they were like, okay.
You put on this green mocap suit because you're about to be transformed.
I would literally drop everything to be in Spider-Man, but
true.
We know, Lexy.
True. But yeah, a character that really looked different. Goblin, Willem Dafoe.
Norman Osborn.
I loved his Norman Osborn. I loved his like homeless almost look.
He's a dilf. I have to say it.
I've read some really interesting articles about Willem Dafoe that I'll have to share with you guys after.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I love this costume. I love that Zendaya, when she was doing interviews for No Way Home, all of her outfits represented different villains. And so she has this one iconic look where I think it's like a green purple button down and a green blazer. And it's like literally this look to a T, but then Zendaya-fied.
Yeah. I love that the whole time he's still wearing the green and the purple.
Yes.
It's almost kind of like a nod, like maybe he's not who he says he's being right now the entire time. Like, it really keeps you on edge the entire time until, of course, he, messes things up. But what an iconic villain. Dare I say, one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time.
He carries.
He's up there with Thanos for me, honestly.
He is.
Oh, so good.
But Doctor Strange, he did not stay in his sweats the whole time. He got his outfit back on, which now that you're saying like, oh yeah, it had to be a little bit different, I'm seeing it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy, because I didn't notice.
Yeah, it is slightly different. I don't know what it is about it, but I know it's different. I think it might be like the length of like the robe, maybe something
the
about
length,
it's different.
The belt's different, the way it's draped is different.
Yeah, but it's still a good different. Like, it looks great.
Yeah,
he looks like Doctor Strange, so he's able to have multiple outfits.
Yeah, why would he wear the same thing every day? That doesn't make sense.
I mean, Spider-Man has like 800 different costumes or different outfits. I'm like, Doctor Strange can have at least 2.
I love their battle in the like mirror realm. It's so fun. Yeah. It's just visually so fun to watch, and it just gets me so hyped for Multiverse of Madness. Oh, I can't wait for
There's
that.
There's that
film.
really embarrassing line where Peter Parker goes, "You know what's cooler than magic? Math." And it's just such a Peter line, and it literally just reminds me of all of his graphic tees with like math equations on them. I'm like, you are such a nerd.
People were giving a lot of shit to the script writers for the Scooby-Doo this shit line.
Oh, yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah,
that is a great line.
I love it.
It's so funny.
That's literally what they did. Like, come on.
I feel like maybe they got shit for it because it was like, I don't know, like, I've never heard someone say that, but I'm like, Doctor Strange is older, like, it makes sense for like him to say that. Like, if Peter said that, I would be like, oh, that's a little weird because like no one in Gen Z says that. But I'm like, but Doctor Strange saying it, like that's great. It's a great line.
Oh my gosh, you're Gen Z, aren't you?
I am Gen Z.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, sorry, I just put that together.
Peter Parker was not watching Scooby-Doo. He's watching like Paw Patrol. I don't know.
I watch Scooby-Doo. Relax. We're not that young. Except I think he is like, what, 16 in this? 17?
I think he's like 17, 18 because he's graduating.
Oh, yeah, he's 17, 18. But then you can see when he gets pushed out of his body that he's still wearing his like outfit underneath it, which is why it's like, you can see there that like that's why it's wrinkled, because he's literally wearing like it under his suit.
That's such a great note. I love that. So then we head on over to Happy's apartment, which if I were Happy, I would not be happy because bringing all these villains into my very nice apartment that clearly Mr. Stark paid for at some point. You just get like such a good look at all of the villains together. I guess villains in quotes. Once again, just have to say Willem Dafoe's green jacket just looks so good when he was doing all the sciencey stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Aunt May's blue and red outfits. I'm like, yes, you are a supportive aunt.
She is. Look at her. What a queen.
She's a Spider-Man fangirl. She loves it.
Rest in peace, the boy.
She does. Up until the very end. Spencer, why did you do this?
Sorry.
He did it on purpose.
I will say, I don't cry a lot in movies, but watching Aunt May die was terrible, and I went to the theaters with a group of like maybe 6-7 grown men, and I was crying but also laughing because I could hear everyone around me literally like and I've never been in a theaters like that where it's like so dark and heavy. You could tell like literally everyone in the theaters was like in their feelings and was like visibly upset. It was so sad. This one really got me.
Yeah. When she says the line, with great power comes great responsibility, I was like, I know this bitch's gotta die. I know she's gotta die.
How dare you, Aunt May? That was way sad.
Oh god, she really just twisted the knife.
And Tom Holland too also like was acting his ass off too in these couple scenes. He was going for it. And I was like, okay, best actor nominee, but clearly that didn't happen. But I thought it might possibly.
reminds me a lot of his scene where he's talking, where like, you know, he's like disappearing because Thanos just snapped, and that like whole line with
good times, yeah.
with Tony Stark, where he's like, "I don't feel so good, Mister Stark."
Yeah,
That gave me the same vibes as that.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was so sad. Marissa Tomei, she was just such a great Aunt May, and I like feel really sad about the idea that she won't be a part of them. But also, we should also saw this coming, because it is, as all the Spider-Man say after our break, that like they all have a relative who passes away. So I should have saw it coming, but it was just harder this time around because she just did such a great job playing Aunt May.
And she played like they never touch on whether or not like they had an Uncle Ben in this. It just seemed like she was like way more, not that the Aunt Mays and the other ones weren't, but that she was like way more of like a mother figure than in the other movie.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because like Aunt May and the other ones is always like significantly older. Like she always looks more like a grandma than an aunt. And I'm like, this time she actually looked like an aunt.
Yes.
And I'm like, you can tell she's been taking care of him for like most of his life.
Yeah, they never talk about any of that, like parents, anything with Tom Holland. So it just seems like she is all he knows.
Which I appreciate that, actually. Like, we just did our Batman episode 2 where they skipped all of the like Batman introductions.
Yeah.
We're at a point where we've seen all these movies so many times, we don't need to do those introductions.
We already know. We already know what
we
happened.
know he got bit by a spider.
Yeah.
He got, you know, Bruce Wayne's parents got shot. We all know.
We all
don't
know.
care anymore. Oh, well, this is depressing. I think we should take a break.
Yeah, and then we can jump into what we're all really here for.
Yes.
Right after the break.
Lexy, your moment is
My
coming.
moment to shine.
All right. Who's ready to talk about the Spider Boys?
The Spider Fellas.
The Spider Fellas, the Spider Men.
All right, Lexy, who's the first person to jump through the portal?
The amazing, beautiful, stunning, so hot Andrew Garfield.
I freaked out in the theater when he walked through. I was like, yes!
Considering we just watched Aunt May pass away, I cannot tell you how good it felt for this sort of energy change. It was the perfect timing. Everyone went from like crying to like screaming and picking up babies and throwing popcorn. And
I know. And I've like, ever since Spider-Man, I've only seen him in very serious roles. Like Hacksaw Ridge, the other one where he's a priest, something else very serious. So I forgot how funny and charming he was.
Well, his Spider-Man is like the funniest of all the Spider-Mans. And like it really is so interesting because it's like all of his recent roles have been, I feel like, just so not
dark.
This energy. Yeah, they're just so like dark and kind of, oh my God. Trying to think of all the recent things I've seen him in. Yeah, like Tick Tick Boom was like sobbing the entire movie. Like
he's like, in the eyes of Tammy Faye, right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I will never shut up about that movie. Such a good movie. But
I actually been wanting to tell you, Elizabeth, I think we should do that film. It's
you
so
should.
good.
I haven't seen it, but I think we should too.
It's
like,
so fun.
Literally watch it right now. I'm like, cancel the podcast. I will never shut up about this movie. I genuinely think it's so good. But no, you were so right, Spencer. Like I was sobbing. I remember I took a photo of myself after watching this movie, and I posted it on my Instagram story. And
you texted it to me.
I was like, this is my No Way Home review. But I was sobbing, like sitting in the back of my seat. Like my friends were sitting next to me laughing at me because I was like tears all down my face. And then my friend had to grab the popcorn out of my hand because I went, oh my God. And the popcorn went everywhere. And I was like, Andrew Garfield, I'm so happy. So just amazing scene. Amazing.
I really love the costume for The Amazing Spider-Man because to me, like, you know, and I love Andrew Garfield. I don't love those two movies, but I love him, and I do think he, like, you know, he is a good Spider-Man. It's not his fault that I don't like those movies. But his costume, I think, is really great because it really represents like that cartoony side of the comics too, where the eyes are like a little bit extra dramatic and big.
Yes.
And like that's why I love his costume a lot, because it does have like this really like cartoony, amazing Spider-Man look. There's a different look to each of these Spider-Mans, as we're about to talk about. And his is a little bit more campy.
Yeah, that's the thing with, that's what everyone always debates about, like, who's the better Peter Parker, who's the better Spider-Man. And I will always say that I think he's the best Spider-Man because he's the most like a spider. Like, in his movies, you'll see like things that he does that are like exactly like a spider. So I think that his costume also is very like spidery because it has like it's more heavy on the webbing. Like they're like tighter webbing, if that makes sense. And I just feel like, yeah, like the big buggy eyes, like I feel like it's most like an actual spider. So he really like dives into like I got bit by a spider and I have spider powers.
Spidey powers.
Spidey powers.
How does he keep that big hairdo in his mask though?
That's just the benefit of having good hair, I think.
His hair will always blow my mind because it goes in every direction possible.
And looks perfect still.
And looks amazing. So hot. I love him.
Oh. Well, your expertise really showed out right now, Lexy. Great job.
They did. Another one that I freaked out for because I was like, they can't possibly bring back both of them, but they did.
Oh man.
Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Adorable.
This one actually made me cry because, like I mentioned, like this was such a like stab in the childhood. Like seeing my Spider-Man show up after how many years? I don't know, like 2 decades. It was crazy. It was such a moment for me. Ugh, I feel dramatically now. Like,
oh yeah,
it was crazy.
I love this scene too. My brother, to talk a little bit more about costumes. My brother was obsessed with the Tobey Maguire. That's why Spider-Man's my favorite, because like I grew up with Spider-Man. Like my brother, we literally, me acting like I was like a part of this. I'm 4 years younger than him, but my parents could literally never get him out of his Spider-Man costume ever. So he would go to like the grocery store in it. He would go to like anywhere they went, he was in his Spider-Man costume. So this was like a big thing for my brother too, because Toby, he grew up with Toby. I grew up with Toby too, but I remember Andrew's. I don't remember Toby's like for the first time seeing them because I was like 2 years old. So that's fun. But but I love this scene because he's wearing just like a very casual thing. And then Andrew Garfield Spider-Man is like, oh, are you going to just keep wearing this cool pastor like uniform?
Yes.
Yes.
I loved him because he was like, oh, this is the one Spider-Man that has like lived a life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he clearly has a life now outside of being Spider-Man, and that's so clear. But I was just like, because he's the first Spider-Man I remember, and like all like the hoopla about the first one, and I was like, he's here, it's him.
It was crazy. It's like seeing Gandalf show up after like a couple of decades. Like it was just crazy. And yeah, I love that he's just like, he's been doing Spider-Man for a long time. So he's like shows up in his comfy clothes. He's like, like what's going on? You know, like,
what's going on? Where am I?
Maybe
what
he's
universe are
retired
we in?
a little bit. Yeah, he's like so over it.
And then I love too all of their different Spider-Man logos. I feel like, you know, they're always on the center of their little costume here, but I feel like Toby's and Andrew's are very similar, other than Andrew's like spider legs are longer, and then Tom Holland's is just like completely different. It's like more like structured. I feel like it's more like techie, like for some reason, and then it's like, well, all of his stuff is more like techie, so it makes sense.
Yeah, so Toby's Spider-Man costume, it's very angular and linear. Like there's a lot of like sharp lines to it, which, you know, even his eyes are a little bit more almost a little bit more sinister looking.
Yeah.
Because this was a little bit more of a darker Spider-Man film, those first three. And so like he's coming from like a darker Spider-Verse. I mean, Willem Dafoe and Doc Ock came from his universe, so he's like not shocked that,
No.
this Spider-Man's having a tough time.
There were a lot of villains in his movies, like just specifically, like there were so many villains.
I think one of the things I love about his movies is like such a specific time in like comic book movies, because it's before Marvel had their own studio. So they were all trying to make them like very dark and edgy and like not campy like they had been in the past. They were like, oh, these are for adults. And I feel like his are like the antithesis of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's so crazy that you said that. Yeah, I agree 100%. Never thought I'd be so excited to see Tobey Maguire in my life, because he's not usually an actor. I'm like, oh my god, Tobey Maguire! But like when he came through that portal.
But I did love as soon as the three of them get together. It's adorable. It's so cute. And the Toby and Andrew, they're just trying to help this young little Peter Parker, being like, it's going to be okay, man, but it's totally not.
Yeah, it's so good. I also like, I love how long these next couple scenes are, because it gives like the much needed comic relief that we were really needing after Aunt May died. I mean, it's a solid like maybe like 30 minutes of just like Peter Parker's like doing science together, coming up with a plan, meeting each other. Like, it's long and I love it.
It was needed. If they made that all short, I would have been so sad. I would have been like, I need more of them together. And I still need more of them together, but it's fine. I'm fine.
We all do. So we just need to see what the future holds. But the future of these Spider-Man outfits was very uncertain. Hays talked about needing to recreate Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's suits. She said, we were recreating the original suits from the previous movies so that the characters looked like they had just stepped out of those worlds, but the original suits that they actually wore on set are either missing or destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
It was really interesting to recreate them because technology has changed so much since they were first designed. The challenge was that we had to adapt and change so many things, yet make it look like they stepped out of those movies, which did take a lot of tests and paying attention to detail. Luckily, both Toby and Andrew still look great and were in shape, which saved us some potential issues. Unfortunately, those suits were a lot more complicated than they looked.
Yeah, I mean, specifically Toby's and Andrew's, their suits do look more complicated.
Yeah.
There's so much detail.
And I also think because Tom Holland's they rely more heavily on CGI now for a lot of the superhero suits, which they didn't back then. So they're like much more practical. But she was talking about, she was like, yeah, even just for Tobey Maguire, she was like, we just put the zippers in more sensible places.
And like Toby's detail on his, like the spiderweb lining is like so thick and heavy. Like, you know, it took so much hours of time to create his. And I also love the fact that one of the suits might be potentially missing. You know, there is someone somewhere in America right now, like sitting in that Spider-Man suit, maybe listening to this podcast.
Yeah, it's me. I actually have it in my closet. I forgot to tell you guys. Mm-hmm. I should have worn it. I'm sorry. I'll do it next time. But
I would actually believe you.
But fun fact: they won't say who, but I have a guess. One of them has to wear butt padding in their suit.
Oh, Buttgate. Yeah. I heard about this.
To make their butt look bigger. And I'm pretty freaking sure it's Tobey Maguire.
Probably.
I was thinking about this too. As I preparing for this, I don't know. I feel like it could.
It's not Andrew. It's not. If that's what you were about to say.
I don't think it's Andrew. I think it might be Tom because he's the one who brought it up. I think he's trying to direct attention to the other two.
But he's a really bad liar. So if they were like, it was you, I'm like, I feel like we would know if it's him because he's a terrible liar, and we all know that because he's exposed almost everything about every movie ever that he's been in. But I really think it's Toby. And if you ever watch interviews with Andrew Garfield, which I do too much, there's a bunch of them where they talk about how thick Andrew Garfield is, which is why I don't think it is him, because he's such like a scrawny dude, but then he has that ass. So
right. Well, dear listeners, if you have a theory on Buttgate and if you have an idea who's double cheeked up in this Spider-Man, please send us a message and we'd love to hear it.
Or you don't have to. Don't feel obligated. Maybe that should just be a mystery for the sake of those involved.
You can message me personally if you don't want to include Elizabeth. Anyways.
Anyway, the Spider-Mans were not the only ones who needed an update. The supervillains did as well. Hays said the idea behind those guys, the villains, was a little bit more about updating their costumes so that they would respond to the sensibilities of the audiences that have grown up watching Marvel movies for the last 20 years or so. So for Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, we just upgraded their iconic costumes. However, Jamie Foxx's Electro look has changed entirely in a way that worked better for the story when he steps into Tom Holland's universe. And it's like, that's so true. Like, the look of the supervillains in the original films, very different than anything in the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think she did such a great job. It was, you know, especially for Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina, she was, you know, very true to them, but just gave a little bit of an update. And especially for Green Goblin, like we mentioned earlier, Lexy said like he was actually a goblin in the comics. So I feel like I love when costume designers take that idea, like, okay, he's not actually a goblin, he's Willem Dafoe. But how can we like take those elements and put them into the costume? So he has that purple hood and he has like this green armor underneath that kind of gives like a muscular goblin look, but it's just green armor.
Yeah.
Which I think is super cool.
Yeah, I think that this is just, it works so much better with the comics. And then you can really see, because Willem Dafoe, I mean, like, he's such a good actor, and a big part of like his character is that he's like, you know, like a psychopath. Like when Tom Holland's like beating the living shit out of him, he has a huge smile on his face. And I'm like, if he had his mask on, you wouldn't have been able to see that. So I love that they kind of like did it so that not only does he look more like the comics with his costume, but he also, you can now see his like facial expressions.
Yeah, it's good. Is it too late to cast Willem Dafoe as the Joker in the next Batman, or would that be too close to Green Goblin?
It's too late. They've already released that clip with what's-his-face.
No. Okay.
Anyway, another heart-wrenching scene.
I can't take this right now. Why'd you have to include the freaking picture of Gwen, bro?
Just for our notes, you know, I need the full picture. Yeah, I've actually never seen MJ. Oh no, it's Gwen. I've never seen Gwen pass away in the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, because you didn't bother to watch the second movie, Spencer.
But I knew, especially after talking to Lexy after the film, I was like, why was everyone so upset? Lexy,
I was sobbing at the scene, and the scene when they're on the roof, and he's like, I lost Gwen, my MJ, and I was like, why did you do that?
But yeah, Andrew Garfield really does like some real acting at this part. It's just all the emotions on his face when he catches cute, wonderful Zendaya.
So sad. It's you can see the difference just from the pictures you have here, but also when you watch the movie, that when he goes to catch Zendaya, he leaps with his entire body so that he catches her first and then uses his webbing. But in his, because that's the mistake that he made in his, was he relied on his webs and then she died.
Yikes.
Rest in peace.
Anyways. Elizabeth's too visibly upset to talk about this.
It's too sad. It's too sad.
What else is sad is the mess that Doctor Strange has to clean up. My goodness, he's just going through it right now. He's keeping every single person who knows a Peter Parker from falling into the
abyss.
Yeah.
Oh, this end was wild, but it was still so sad because they all have to say goodbye to each other.
Yeah, literally, I felt like I was saying goodbye to my childhood when Tobey Maguire disappeared. I literally, yeah.
When Toby got stabbed, my life flashed before my eyes.
Right. I was like, oh no.
I can't take any more of this.
It was too much. And I was just like, I feel like they're not going to bring them back again because that was just kind of like a perfect wrap up.
I don't know.
So they're,
I don't know, everyone.
I don't think they should. I thought this was the perfect way to end it, especially since Toby and Andrew both came from some Spider-Man films that are very questionable with like ratings and reviews. Like, I'll admit, I did not love those original. Like, I love them because they're part of my childhood, but going back, I'm never like, ooh, I want to watch the third Spider-Man film where I had to watch Tobey Maguire dance around in his like emo costume.
That is an iconic scene. What do you mean?
Yes, it's iconic, but I'm never like
embarrassing to watch at the time.
I love it.
At the time, it was like everyone was like, "What is this?"
I think it's hilarious.
So I feel like this film really tied such a beautiful bow on it, where we could all walk away and be like, "You know what? This was great. You know, these 2 decades of Spider-Mans, we really did that. You know." So we should keep it that way.
I've heard some things that are going to make you guys happy. I heard that they're possibly either going to bring both of them back in another movie, maybe in the next one, or I heard that they're either going to bring just Toby, kill him off, and then make Andrew have his third movie finally.
I don't want that.
I want a third Andrew movie, but yeah.
What I do want is for MJ and Peter to come back together. What is that? How dare they?
It's not okay.
In the comic books, they're done. In the comic books, MJ and this Peter Parker will not be seeing each other again.
Well, I don't like that.
They change that all the time, though.
Yeah.
They do. But they're also already talking about, because we haven't met a Gwen Stacy in this universe, and we have Ned, but we don't have like the other best friend. So they were talking about Tom Holland said that he wants to cast Timothée Chalamet as the new best friend.
I'll take it.
I don't know if they're going to entirely get rid of Zendaya and Ned, because I feel like we've been so attached to them. And I mean, Zendaya and Tom are dating in real life, but that is what I've heard.
They could put Peter and Gwen together as long as Zendaya plays Gwen. Then, okay, I'm good.
Well, I bet the next movie they'll have Gwen Stacy be like living in one of the apartments, like the Tobey Maguire one.
Well,
so probably.
I'm already upset talking about this. I don't like it.
Gwen Stacy, though, like in the first movies, she's the other woman. Like she's not like she's into Peter Parker, but Peter Parker always loves MJ more. So I wonder if that's what they're gonna do. It's like there is a Gwen Stacy, but we love like this MJ more.
Right. Well, I loved MJ's little donut shop costume. Very cute. And you could see that she's wearing her little necklace. So maybe that's a way they'll remember each other. I hope.
I know.
This is an actual donut shop in New York. And they called...
Spencer, you have to visit.
They called the donut shop asking if they could use it, but they don't use the actual building itself. They replicated it. And then those are the exact costumes that the people at the donut shop wear, but they didn't, they also replicated it. They didn't just ask for an original costume. And then we have the Black Dahlia necklace, which we see him give to her in the second movie, which I actually have that necklace.
Nerd.
I love that.
I love that. And now I really want a donut. Take it away, Elizabeth.
I also love that by the end of the movie, when he's being Spider-Man on his own, they've changed up his suit yet again. Hays said that this costume is actually mostly visual effects because of the accuracy. The idea was to go back to his character's roots, and in doing so, the suit becomes as close to the comic book version as possible. And I'm like, I like that, because I feel like they're doing like a soft reset of his Spider-Man so that they can like make even more movies and like go further with the character.
I thought that too. I was like, oh my gosh, like you could tell like that is the Spider-Man comic book costume. Also, I love seeing him swing around in Christmas in New York. I was half expecting to see him like slam right into Kate
Hawkeye.
Bishop and Hawkeye. I was like, hey, they're literally right there.
But they don't remember him.
Oh,
Oh, that's true.
Well,
Damn
the
it,
depressing
Lexy.
thing is he can't have Iron Man's technology anymore. And while I love the Iron Man suits because they're just so like cool, they're not like very Spider-Man-y. So I do love this costume because, like you said, it's going back to the roots. But the sad, depressing thing is that Edith, who like is the person behind all the Stark technology, you know, like the glasses are Edith. She doesn't recognize him because no one knows who Peter Parker is, which is why he has to make his own costume because he can't use.
this movie is too upsetting. I don't like it.
It's really sad.
I can't wait for one of the next Avengers when they're like, we should go get that Superman, that Spider-Man guy. We should bring him onto the team.
Yeah.
And
We need
he's gonna be like-
Spider-Boy.
He's gonna be like, yeah, sure.
Sure.
I don't know any of you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dean.
I loved the bonus scene in this.
Yeah. So good. I've yet to see the Venom movies, but I've been dying to
Same.
see them. And like I think Venom is such a cool Marvel character, or I should say Sony character. And I hope that they integrate this a little bit. That'd be really cool.
I think that's what we're gonna see in the next Spider-Man.
I know.
Is the Venom.
Well, I was really excited to see the bartender.
He's from Ted Lasso.
He is from Ted Lasso. Cristo Fernandez. I hope that's how you say your name. I'm sorry if it's not. But he plays Danny Rojas on Ted Lasso. And I was like, he better be the next Venom in this universe.
He did the thing that he always does in Ted Lasso.
Yeah. He crossed himself. And I was like, that little piece
I
of
didn't
Venom
even
better find its
think
way
about that because
to
Tom
Danny
Hardy wouldn't
Rojas.
be Venom. It would be whoever is attached to the symbiote. So that's sick.
Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like he's like a newcomer to Hollywood, but who has already had like good success with Ted Lasso. So I feel like this is going to be like, if they do use him as Venom,
That's
I feel
really
like it's going to be his breakout role. And I'm so excited
the
for him.
Venom like symbiote, species. It like plays such a big part in Marvel, especially like even like Guardians of the Galaxy. It has like such a big span that people don't really realize in the comics. So I hope they like really go crazy with it. I'd like to see multiple like Venoms running around. That'd be fun. And we also got instead of an end credits scene of Doctor Strange, they just gave us the whole damn trailer for Multiverse of Madness.
Right?
Which was stunning in the moment. I was like, oh, okay. It's just the whole trailer.
I was flipping out because the thing with the sky at the end of, have you guys watched What If?
Yes. Most of it.
Oh, well, the last 2 episodes are the most important ones. But so What If is basically like a short TV show where it says like if one thing was different, like how it would create a whole different universe of things. And so at the very end of the Doctor Strange, we see the evil Doctor Strange who is in What If. And when the sky is cracking and it's all purple, that's What If. So it's really interesting. And then you see like the evil Doctor Strange, and he's much more of like a grayer looking person. His like costumes, like, I don't know, it's all like gray. It's like more like, I don't know, it's more like evil looking. And so it's just, this next movie is going to go freaking insane.
I'm so excited.
I'm nervous. I'm anxious about it.
And that brings us to the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. This was a good one. This was so fun. I love this film.
Such a good film.
So, Lexy, we have a little game we like to play on the Art of Costume Blogcast called One Costume to Rule Them All. Would you like to play with us?
Of course.
Cue the music, Daniel.
The one costume to rule them all.
Lexy, as our guest, you're actually supposed to go first. Are you ready, or do you want one of us to go?
I could go first.
Okay.
Mine's going to be obvious. Okay, so I love all the Spider-Man costumes. They're amazing. And like I said, the super cool Tony Stark technology ones are amazing, but they're not giving Spider-Man, they're giving Tony Stark. So I'm going to have to go with Andrew Garfield because it's such a classic.
Yeah.
And I love him. And his logo is my favorite one because I think it's the coolest with how long the spider legs are. And I think it's most like a spider, which is really interesting. So, and then I'm biased because it's Andrew Garfield's.
Yeah. I'm shocked by your choice.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. You're right. All the Spider-Men were amazing. But I was personally just so excited for some Cumberbatch action that I had to go with his snowy, cozy sweatsuits and cape look. Like, this gave me everything I needed. Personally, I wouldn't have needed the rest of it. It was such a bonus. But to see Doctor Strange looking cozy, that did it for me.
That's a solid choice. For me, it was very easy. It had to have been seeing Tobey Maguire in his spider suit. It was just like such a emotional moment for me. Like, I remember running around the house and I had like I had the Batman one and my brother had like the Spider-Man pajama shirt and it had like little webs on the side, and mine had like this Batman cape, and just like looking up to like the Spider-Man for so much of my life. It was just like really awesome to see his like really dramatic, campy, like Spidey suit with the like really thick webs. It was just such a blast in the past. Like, I could hear that Hero song by Nickelback that was on the soundtrack playing when I see him. Like, it just gives me all the feels. So that was my one costume to rule them all.
I feel like ours are not shocking. I feel like they all obsessed with.
I don't consider myself a big Tobey Maguire fan. I consider myself a Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man fan.
No, Tobey Maguire is so funny. Have you seen those videos of him screaming at paparazzi?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he's such a bully, but it's funny. People call him Bully Maguire.
That's wonderful.
I mean, paparazzi probably had it coming.
Yeah.
With that brings us to the end of this episode. Lexy, thank you so much for joining us. This was so fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I know I forced you to have me on, Spencer, but I know you enjoyed it.
No forcing. I could only think of one Andrew Garfield expert that I would turn to in our time of need.
I am so glad I came on. I love talking about Spider-Man at any point in time. So thank you for having me.
Of course.
It was a pleasure. I loved all your info. It was eye-opening.
And after you listen to the Art of Costume Blogcast, I inspire you all to watch eLEXYfy, the Place for Fashion podcast. And you could hear Lexy talk about everything from fashion to sustainability. She really is really incredible. So thank you, Lexy.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for the free shout out.
Oh, Elizabeth, I think we need to go on our little spring break adventure.
I think we do too. We need some sun. We need to get out of this studio. We need to tan ourselves and come back fresh.
So yes, we are going on spring break. You will not hear a new episode next week. However, we do have a special surprise releasing next week. So you don't have to go too long without hearing our voices. I think just Elizabeth and I need a break from each other, you know?
Yeah. I can't stand your presence anymore. I need to get into a different universe for a hot second and then come back.
But when we come back at the end of April, we will be talking about one of my all-time favorite movies. On April 26th, it will be National Alien Day. So, of course, we have to talk about Alien, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. I saw it for the first time recently, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Thank you all for listening.
Yes, thank you all for listening. If you could give us a little 5-star text review, that would be amazing. Or share us with a friend. That is equally as incredible. And thank you all for listening.
The Art of Costume Blogcast is hosted and produced by Elizabeth Joy Glass and Spencer Williams. Our audio engineering and editing is done by Dan White. Follow us on Instagram at The Art of Costume Pod or visit theartofcostumeblogcast.com for all blogcast updates. If you want to support the show, go to theartofcostume.com/podstore. Or you can head over to patreon.com/theartofcostume for some bonus content. For more costume reviews, deep dives, and interviews, head over to theartofcostume.com, a blog dedicated to highlighting the best in costume design.
I guess it's not relevant, but, Peter Parker's just had a tough month. He was just outed by Tobey Maguire. Everyone hates him now. People are throwing bricks through his windows, and his aunt's about to die, and then everyone forgets who he is, and he doesn't exist. So I just really feel for Peter Parker.
I feel like he's had the summer to cope, because otherwise I don't know how Flash got that book out so quickly.
Did I say Tobey Maguire? Who's Tobey Maguire?
You did.
I was like, what?
I meant to say Jake Gyllenhaal. Who's Tobey
Jake
Maguire?
Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Mysterio.
Daniel, can you add in Jake Gyllenhaal?